believe at this point, we can all say that bikes are absolutely terrible in Motorfest. And that they have a disadvantage in every way compared to cars. Like, one of the biggest problems is the top speed. You got cars in Street Tier 2 topping out at 210 or 212 or something like that. Then you got then you got bikes in racing that's topping out around 220 or 230 or something like that, when cars top out around like 260 or something like that. And well, don't really get me started on Street Tier 1. But we have motocross, which they have their own category in the grand race and everything. And for the most part, motocross bikes, they're all about around the same speed or so. Some might be a tad bit faster or whatever, but at the most part, they're all about around the same speed. And I'm just wondering why Ubisoft and Ivory Tower haven't done nothing about it. Surely they have the data to see that nobody's really using bikes. They're more like an afterthought, kind of like boats and planes, really. But I guess more or less boats. Planes are actually getting used in the grand race, but not too often. But at the same time, they are in the grand race. But having planes in a grand race going up against rally raid vehicles or rally vehicles is a bit unfair, but that's a topic for another time. Today I would just want to focus on bikes in general, more or less street bikes, like Street Tier 2, Street Tier 1, and of course race bikes. Now I feel like there's several ways that Ivory Tower could handle bikes if they do not want to touch their performance at all. And I guess the obvious thing would be to put them in their own category. Now, me and some people in the chat, we've talked about this numerous times, that, you know, if they don't want to buff bikes, the alternative is to put them in their own category. Now, I don't know if you will want to do that and add even more categories to the game, if that will be a problem or whatever. I personally don't care if they do that or not. But bikes, to me, they're a lot of fun. I like driving bikes despite them being terrible. I just feel like that they either should be brought up to the performances of cars to where they're viable and they can compete against cars, or they should be put in their own category in the grand races, which, I mean, I would much prefer bikes be in their own category. It switches things up, and seeing everybody driving bikes in a grand race would be pretty different. I think it'll actually be fun. And there's a bit of a problem with that I didn't think about as well, is how would you necessarily put them in a category when there's not very many, I would say. In Street Tier 1, I don't know the correct number, but I think there's only like a few of them Street Tier 1. But that's if they plan on having some type of big bike event or update or whatever, where they bring in more bikes into the game. Now, they could do that. So would you separate Street Tier 1 and Street Tier 2, or would you put them in the same category and make it to where Street Tier 1 bikes can perform at the level of Street Tier 2 by buffing them or increasing the acceleration, all that, and then having race bikes in their own category as well? Or would you put all bikes together and make them equal? Well, I say the better thing to do is to separate them between race bikes and street bikes. You could put all the street bikes together, make them to where they're all viable And that goes for like street tier 1 bikes too. Put them in the same category as street tier 2 bikes. Give them a little bit of buff to, to make them viable within that category. Then you take the race bikes and you put those in their own separate category, and then you add them to the grand race. It'll mix things up. You have 2 new categories in the grand race, and there you go. It's just like how some of us want boats in the grand race as well, but who knows if we'll ever get that. Maybe in the future, but I say that Ivory Tower Ubisoft needs to do something about bikes, because there's quite a few bikes in this game and they're basically not usable at all in the grand race because they get outperformed by cars. Not only that, it is a struggle. If you ever drove a bike in the grand race, it is a struggle, especially starting off with a bike in a grand race. You get ping ponged all around and stuff, and if somebody hits you hard enough, they'll cause you to automatically reset. If you hit a wall too hard, they'll automatically cause a reset. And not only that, bikes have a bigger penalty whenever you hit a wall than I say the cars do. At least with most of the time with cars, when they hit a wall, they bounce off and they can usually get their speed back up. When a bike hits a wall, one or two things is going to happen. Either you're going to reset, or your bike is going to come to damn near a complete stop. And this is why I don't think bikes should be in the same category with cars. It's just because you're just at so much of a disadvantage. Now, I will say at times it is harder to ram bikes off of the road depending on the situation, because I've had this happen multiple times. When I'm about to pass a car and a bike, that person will prevent me from trying to pass them, so they'll usually try to ram me off the road. And a lot of times, because the bikes are so much smaller than cars, they'll actually miss, or they'll just be harder for them to hit me, and they'll end up messing up themselves. With that being said, that is one thing that they can do, is put them all in their own category. Now, the other thing they can do is something that I don't believe they will do, is touch bikes, and all of them at that. And when I mean touch bikes, I mean like buff them to where they can compete with the cars as far as acceleration and top speed. And I don't know if it's me, but it seems like whenever you tune bikes, they don't really change much. At least I haven't seen a change. But I mean, I've looked all over YouTube and it looks like nobody really messes with bikes like that. And I mean, I see why, because it's not really worth it at all. But I haven't seen anything about tuning bikes or anything, so I guess nobody really knows how you tune a bike. Cornering as well. At times bikes really kind of suck at cornering, and I don't know if you can tune it to where they turn better or faster, because if you ever drove a bike and you hit a lot of corners and stuff, you would notice how slow it is to actually turn from corner to corner. You have to time it just right, or you have to just hit the brakes here and there. But another thing is, I forgot about, was rally raid bikes. That's a whole nother thing. So how would you do rally raid bikes? Do you keep them in the same category with the rally raid vehicles, or would you put those in their own category? I say, I mean, there's not really that many rally raid bikes, and from my experience, you don't have as much trouble using rally raid bikes as you do with street bikes. With street bikes, it's a lot more chaotic. With rally raid, it hasn't really been that bad. But as far as my testing goes, there's only one really good rally raid bike that can somewhat keep up with the other cars and stuff in that category, and that is the Ducati Monster. I've been driving that thing for a while now, and I've tested out a few other rally raid bikes, and they don't compare to the Monster. It has better acceleration than some of the other rally raid bikes that I've tested, and it has a pretty high top speed for that category. If I remember correctly, I got that bike all the way up to 172 or something around there. But it accelerates pretty decent. But if you have a slipstream, you can definitely keep up with most, if not all, vehicles. I remember a couple of times I was racing against a Z4, and they were trying to pull away from me, and they literally couldn't. I was just staying on them the whole time, because that bike can get up to speed. I think it can reach like around the same top speed as the Z4 and or other vehicles as well. So if you ever want to try out a rally raid vehicle, try out the Monster. It takes a little bit to get used to, but when it comes to cornering, and that's what all bikes, especially dirt bikes, when you're cornering, they slow down a lot, and that's what puts you at a disadvantage as well. But I just wanted to make this video to kind of give my opinion or suggestion of what Ivory Tower could do with bikes to make them viable. They're fun to use. Not many racing games have bikes that you can use. Motorfest and I think a few other games, if I remember correctly. I don't remember if Forza did or not, but yeah, bikes are really cool and they're fun to drive. I just wish that they were better and they were more competitive, because I would love to beat people on using just nothing but bikes. Like sometimes I just want to use bikes and not be at a disadvantage every single time. Now, before I end this video, I do want to say I've done something that I have not seen nobody else do. I won a grand race using nothing but bikes. I believe the playlist was Street Tier 1, Rally Raid, and Racing. I used bikes in all three sections, and I won a grand race. Video dropping soon, by the way. But yeah, that's all I got for now. But if anybody has any suggestions or any ideas they would like to share on this topic, please let me know. Please let me know down in the comment section what y'all think, or what y'all would suggest Ivory Tower could do with bikes. So let me know. Let's start a conversation, and hopefully, we can get Ivory Tower to do something about it. But until then, I'm out of here. Be sure to like the video. Subscribe if you're new. If you want to become a member, the link will be down in the description, or you can hit the join button by my name. But other than that, I'm out of here, and peace.